Good morning, everybody. It is 10:27 on a lovely Friday. I am headed on into work. Got to take a little detour today since there's a road I normally go down is currently closed. So, thanks to my coworker, shout out Chris. I shouldn't say coworker, my friend. Shout out to Chris for warning me last night so that I didn't take this way this morning and get a rude awakening when I had to go around it. So thank you, Chris. We will know we got to go around it. Make it a lot easier. I already know a way, so we're fine. I know my way around the city well enough. I mean, the city's not my place, but you know, I know my way around well enough. Yeah, I don't really have a topic today. I mean, to be honest, when do I ever? Like, let's be real. I'm not really very good at saying something entertaining. So I finished off the Facebook Marketplace video talking about my final of my bike. I rewatched it and I realized just how much I go on tangents. And I'm trying to rein that in. Because, like, when there's no one you're talking to, and when you know when I know what I'm trying to say, I realize how many tangents I go on when I'm riding. It's a really specific to when I'm riding thing. I think just because I'm like talking to myself, but then I'm also regularly getting distracted by the road. You know, like I'm getting distracted by coming to a stop sign, making sure people go at the right times, you know, and don't hit me. That kind of shit. And like I'm focused on that. I mean, even right now I'm like, what was I talking about? But like I know what I'm talking about, you know. I'm talking about how I get distracted all the time because this shit happens, especially when I'm riding. Like I don't realize what topic I'm on until I'm trying to explain how it works in my head. Basically, I'll be on topic A, right? And then during topic A, so for example, the one I thought of last night when I was watching it the other day, was topic A was about leaving my keys in my ignition. And I got right to the end of the story about seeing my War Amps like little tag thing. And I went on a tangent for like 3 minutes about what the fuck the War Amps is. Because in my head, I got distracted from the main story with a side story. And as soon as I forget something on my ride, like as soon as I'm in a really focused moment, you know, going through a roundabout or something, or going on an intersection, and I stop talking, when I get out of it, I go back to the last word I was on. Right? Like that's the last thing I remember, the last thing I just said. And so that tends to lead me into continuing a tangent that I don't need to continue. So the War Amps thing, I just like talked all about it and I really did not need to. Because it was so inconsequential to the story. And watching it back, I was annoyed with myself. Like, I was like, holy shit, shut up bitch and get to the point of the story. Like, I'm sorry. So I'm gonna try and do a little better about like what it is I'm focused on. Focus on a very specific story and also be able to like jump in and out of it too. Stories that don't need me to spend 20 minutes talking. Because I think that's the problem is I need stories that I can tell in the stretch of road where I don't have to do anything. You know, no shifting, no turning, no nothing. No stop signs. I need stories I can tell in that amount of time. So that's, I don't know. I feel bad because my tangents were on the next level in terms of annoyingness and length. I'm so sorry. Anyway, what was I talking about? That's what I was talking about. At least I remembered it that time. I was going to I had the idea, probably yesterday, about how I was going to tell, like, stories relating to, it's going to go yellow, yeah. was a decent stop. So anyway, any stories I was going to tell. That's it. See, I get to a stop sign. I'm focused on shifting down safely because I'm still new, so I'm still like ever present in my riding. So obviously that just happens easily. But I was talking about there's a story I was going to tell. I thought about it yesterday, and now I don't remember what that story was. What was that story? I want to say it had to do with biking. I could talk a little bit about my M2 test for all you out there who are going to go ahead and do it. If anybody's watching this from Ontario and you want to know about your M2, I can tell you specifically about the way Ontario handles it. I can't really talk about anywhere else because I don't know, obviously, because I didn't do it anywhere but Ontario. So my course, the way it works here, we have a graduated licensing system, which I think is really similar to most places, especially like the States, and I think parts of Europe, though I know Europe limits CC on like age and stuff. Anyway, we have a graduated licensing system. See, I'm reining in. Which means you basically have, it's the same for cars. You have an M1, which is a learner's permit, if you will. I know a lot of the states, that's what they call it, a learner's permit. So that we call that G1 or M1. It's the first level of a graduated licensing. So in the case of M1, it's 90 days only, and when it expires, it expires. Like, you only have 90 days with it. And it allows you to ride. It's funny because the M1 kind of allows you to do pretty much any riding. Like, there is no limit to CC. There is no limit to, obviously there's no like, so with the G1, for example, you have to have somebody in the car with you who's an experienced G driver, which is like the final level of graduated licensing, who's had it for 4 years plus. For M1, obviously that's not the case because they actually don't want you to have a passenger, so they explicitly want to remove the passenger aspect of it. So it is a solo thing. The only really rules on the M1 are your speeds, so like you're not going on highways, which is the same as the G1, which is for your cars, and it also doesn't allow you to drive a motorcycle 30 minutes before sundown and 30 minutes after sunrise, I think. It's like a 30-minute interval on either side. I mean, it's really vague. Basically, they just don't want you driving in the dark. They get all granular about the timing and this and that, but don't drive in the dark. That's the idea. So that's the M1, and that is a written. You just go in, you write a test. It's 60-something questions long. If you pass all the questions, you pass, you get your M1. Then the M2, and also the G2, in case of driving, is an actual test on a vehicle. So that's your, like, what you expect, you know. Somebody sits in the car with you with a fucking clipboard and... Or, in the case of an M2, I don't know why it works this way here. I'm guessing it's for the sake of... I think it's the same in the States, but for the sake of, like, instructors not needing to know... Like drive test center instructors not needing to know everything when it comes to motorcycles. So basically, the way they encourage you here, they even ask you when you're writing the M1 is, are you going to do a safety course? All the safety courses here, at least all the ones I looked at, are basically you learn, you do an in-class for a day, like a couple hours, then you do 2 days of on the bikes in like a parking lot, and at the end, they have you do the test. Wow, I had a lot of momentum going into that. See, there's my getting distracted, right? So now I'm pulled into the riding very specifically. Let me go through these roundabouts, and I'll pick up where I left off about M2 and the drive test. The riding test. We'll get back to that in a minute. Let me get through this roundabout. See, I'm hyper focused on riding safe, which is what I should be. Come on, give me a little shimmer. You're fine. Basically, the M2 test, so it's done with a course, so you do a safety course, that way you're like really prepared. And then the guy, one of the instructors, will be like basically licensed from the government to be, they go from like instructor mode where they're paid by a company or a college or something, because some of them are done at colleges. They go from being the guy who's been helping you the whole time to being a drive test center employee for a moment. So then they are just marking you and grading you. So you do the test in a parking lot. You do 6 aspects of it. It's like 6 different sections. And then you pass or fail. And M2 removes all the restrictions. Basically the only restriction with an M2 that I can remember, which, you know, let's hope I'm remembering correct. The 2 ones I remember: no alcohol at all in your bloodstream. Oof, I should have dodged that. So no alcohol at all, not even like the legal limit type stuff, just 0. You gotta be 0. And actually that's till you're 25. But G2 or M2 as well. And you can't, oh yeah, and then it expires it expires out if you let it go. So this is the same thing with a G2. Basically, the final stage of a graduated licensing, which is an on-road test for the M2 and another on-road test for the G, like for the M and for the G, and you essentially just get a license that now doesn't expire away from you. So it still expires, like the physical card, and so you still gotta like renew it. But when you renew it, you still have an M or a G. Whereas if you do that with a G2 or an M2 and you let it expire, you just have no license now. Like you need to restart the process. So that's what the 3rd level of graduated licensing is for. It's essentially yep, you've got it, until you're like 80 something, and then they make you start testing for it again. To make sure that you're like still competent and able to drive and stuff. I don't actually know if that's the same on bikes, if they do it at an earlier age or what. I assume it is, though. Same principle applies. So that's how the graduated licensing works here. So I was at my M2 test. What I wanted to do is explain my the M2 G2 graduated licensing, and then I can tell you a little story about my experience with graduated licensing. So I like it because I get the idea that it's supposed to make people safer because they are gone through all these steps to get themselves a license. However, it can be so, like, it can be fucking degrading because, like, it's such a pain in the ass to do all these different steps. So, like, with the M1 to the M2 actually isn't too bad because you have 60 days from the time you wrote your M1. After 60 days, you can get an M2. You can do the safety course earlier than that, but you can't actually turn in the pass from the safety course until your 60 days is up. So you can do it the next day after doing your M1, have it, but then you won't actually get it until the 60 days. With a G1 to G2, you actually have to wait a year, or 8 months if you take a driver's ed program. And that shit is just, it's the worst, because, like, you'll get in this mood, right, where you want to get your license, so you're all motivated. This happened to a lot of my friends. And then you have to wait, 8 months or a year with your G1. And by the time that time's come and gone, you're just, unless you've been really keeping up with it, like I did when I was younger, you fall out of it, and then you don't get it. And then it expires, and you have to start the whole damn process again. So I really don't understand people who don't, want to jump to that 3rd grad. At least get the G. You know, M1, M2, you can fuck around with that. You know, you get 5 years on the M2 before it expires down. But I don't like the time wait. It does, like, I totally get it. I get why it's supposed to make people safer. It's also supposed to free up the systems. But, like, I hated it. I don't like graduated licensing, but I like graduated licensing. I hate doing it. So I failed my G1 written the first time when I was 16. Did it, like, at my birthday, basically. I failed it the first time, did it, passed the second time, and I could try right after, because you're just in, like, in a drive test center, so you can just do it right away. Again, thankfully for the written ones. And then my G2, which is an in-car, they also failed me once because, it so frustrated me. Basically, I was in Kitchener, like I was in the city. Well, I'm in Waterloo right now, but I was in the city at the local drive test center. It was 4:30 on a Friday, so, like, we booked the worst time. It was very stupid because, of course, the city's going to be packed. Everybody's going home, and then I have to, as a relatively new driver who knows the country and has only driven the country roads, now I've got to, like, go in there and drive on fucking city roads at the worst time of day. Like, holy shit. Nasty, 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 nasty. So I failed my G2 because I was leaving. Basically, I left the parking lot and I had to take a left. And there was someone coming. I had lots of time. I knew I had lots of time. However, the instructor didn't feel the same way. And so she yelled at me, "Stop!" And if any of you have ever driven with a new driver, or been a new driver, you know, yelling any instructions is what you're explicitly told not to do, because it will make the new driver panic and likely not do what you're asking them to. So she shouted, "Stop!" And I kind of had a split-second panic, so I didn't immediately hit the brake. Granted, I was rolling at this point. Like, I'm not touching the accelerator. I was rolling. And then she yelled, "Stop it," to me again. So I smacked the brake. Like, she did. This all happened in the span of, like, maybe 2 seconds. The guy passed me. I went left. I did my turn. She turned me down a side street, turned me around, brought me right back in the parking lot and said, "You failed. You didn't stop when I said stop." And I was like, "Oh, okay." And the G2, you cannot immediately try again. So I waited a couple months and tried again and passed a second time, thankfully, without any issue. What are you doing? What the fuck? Holy shit. What was he fucking doing? Holy shit. Sorry, guys, that was really close to an accident. Fuck you! What the fuck? Anyway. Holy shit. That old lady's just should not be driving. That was bad. She didn't even notice me. This is why I wish I could go my normal way. I wouldn't have to be dealing with this shit. But Canada has 2 seasons, winter and construction. And right now we are not in winter, so we're in construction season. Okay, we're good, guys. I'm just a little like, whew, you know, almost rammed that guy in the ass because they stopped in front of me. You know, that's stressful. What was I talking about? See, this one you have to forgive me for tangenting. I almost just got creamed by some jackass in a fucking Hyundai Kona. I think it was called a Kona. I'm a Rainbow Six player. I need that Kona station. I need some fucking meds now because I just got a damn heart attack. Yeah, G2, I failed. Passed the second time. G, failed the first time. He just said I didn't look around over my shoulder enough, and it was like, dude, I did it constantly. I just didn't make it obvious enough, and like I clearly wasn't head on a swivel enough. So he failed me, and I was like, whatever. And then I had the exact same instructor for the second G2 test. He did not recognize me. I passed, and then I thanked him. I'm like, hey, you gave me some tips last time, and clearly they worked because you passed me. Thanks. And he was like, who are you? And I'm like, I was here a couple months ago. He's like, oh, okay. Good job. Which I thought was funny. And my M2, I'm breaking the trend. So I called myself a second try wonder after all my G2 stuff. I really hope I just got on the right road. Pretty sure this is King Street, right? So this is the problem. I don't actually know where I am. That's Weber? Wait, where am I? No, I'm on King, right? Yeah, I'm on King. We're fine. I'm on the right road. So my M1 and M2, so far I've broken my second try wonder by first trying my M1 and first trying my M2. My M2 was a little more stressful though, because it was like a course and then the test. I was like, so what happened was, I live out here, near Kitchener, basically. I live in Kitchener, essentially, like, same difference. It's the city nearby, it's like how people say they live in Toronto when they live in, like, any of the cities nearby. So I basically live in Kitchener, and I wrote my M1 in April? Yes. April 15th. And I needed to, obviously do within 90 days of that, otherwise it expired. And, the Kitchener Center, it's called Learning Curves, is the company I went with. They were not taking any students until the first class of the year was June 15th, which, if you recall from my last video, was the day I left for my vacation. So I could not do June 15th. So what I ended up doing was driving myself down to London, which is a good distance from here, and renting an Airbnb for 2 nights, and just doing my M2 in London, which was good because I could do it in May, long before my vacation, and know whether or not I passed. My stress is gone. However, it was also kind of a dog shit idea, because sleeping in a $80 a night, $80 Canadian, so that's like, I don't know, $3 US. Sleeping in an $80 Canadian Airbnb for 2 nights when you're stressed beyond your fucking limit because of a test, like a driving test, was quite possibly one of the stupidest things I've ever done in terms of helping myself relax, because it just sucked, because I slept like shit each night and I was stressed, I was anxious. So I went down there. First night, I was the very last person coming into the classroom at exactly 6. The guy from the course called me and was like directing me there, and I walked in and the place was full. Everyone was sitting down, signed waivers, and I'm like, oh fuck, like, way to start it off, Chloe. You thought you were 5 minutes early and it turns out you're the last one there. Like, holy shit, dumbass. So that's what happened there on the first night. Second night, we got on the bikes. I felt pretty good. We lost one person who dropped out. We had a lot of people that were like experienced and doing their test because one guy had moved from another country, I think from the UK or something. One guy was like an experienced rider who let it expire before. Another guy was an experienced rider who had a license somewhere else or let it expire. shit like that. Like, there was a lot of experienced people in my class, and I was one of the, like, 3 who had never ridden before, and we lost one of those people on the first day, too. And the second day, all was going well. I was feeling relatively good about the test on my little Honda Grom. I felt like I was doing decent enough. However, when the time came for us to do the test, and what they do is they let you practice. Basically, they set up all the cones so that you have the test in front of you, basically. And they let everybody practice whatever parts of it they wanted to practice. But it started raining right before. And unfortunately, that's actually where I'm going to have to cut you guys off, because I am at work, and I will carry on the conversation after. So, we're going to attempt to take the normal way, and if the road's closed again, Chris would have called me by now. He would have been there. He'd have seen the closure if it was closed. Oh, speak of the devil. Yo. So take it easy. Alright, thank you so much for the heads up, Chris. That helps a lot. Thank you. I'll see you next week. Well, now we know we can go this way. We just got to take it easy over some bumps. I can do that. Me taking something easy? We'll see. Come on, go green. Go green. Go green. Yeah. It's green, dumbass. I think you woke up. I don't know what it is with this city and people stopping at green lights. I didn't think it was rocket surgery. Green means go. Pretty sure we were taught that from like 3. Like, what's wrong with you? It's pretty universal. So, my friends. It is the end of the day. It's been approximately 8 and a bit hours since I last talked to you guys, since the last cut. So, I believe when I rudely interrupted myself by getting to work, I believe I was talking about, alright, here's the bumps. Let's see how this is. I believe I was talking about my M2 experience and what that test was like. And about how, that guy's, oh, that's way worse than I thought it was going to be. Oh my god. I really should have taken Chris's advice. Oh, okay. There we go. That guy's gas tank is, yeah, I don't know if you guys could see that. That guy's gas tank was open, and I think I saw something hanging out of it. Whoopsies, dumbass. I'll bet his check engine light is on or something. Something's freaking out at him, and he's like, oh, I should pull into this parking lot. Find out what's going on with my car. So, M2. I'm focused, guys. I'm focused. Basically, what I was discussing last cut was how the way they set it up is before they test you, they set it up so that you can basically run all the 6, so there's 6 sections of the test. They passed us all on one section that we all did together because they couldn't keep it set up while everything else was set up, so they just tested everybody without telling us they were testing us, and then passed us all. So that was cool. So there were 5 sections set up, basically. And on those 5 sections, we had to, we got the chance to practice. in the middle of this practice, maybe, I don't know, maybe 2-3 minutes in, like when we had like 20 minutes of doing this, it started pissing rain. So now, of course, I am on my first time on a motorcycle ever, and it is pissing rain. Well, second day, you know, but still at the same time. Same no experience, right? It still applies. So, I'm sitting there on this fucking Honda Grom, all the while it's pissing rain, and I'm trying to do stuff like stopping on a corner and emergency stops. Like, all this shit I'm practicing is relatively higher speed maneuvers, and then it's raining, and on like, I think my second or third, so one of the things that they do a lot, this'll, trust me, this tangent makes sense. I'm keeping myself to that. One of the things that they do is, while you're practicing, they're telling you what it is that would make you pass or fail that section. So like, what is it you're doing wrong, or what is it you just did great and to keep up? So they're like actively telling you that the whole time, right, while you're practicing. And they keep telling me, I need to go faster, I need to go faster, I need to go faster. And I'm on a Honda Grom, so like, of course I need to go faster. The thing barely moves. So I'm being pressured to go faster, I'm being pressured to go faster, which, like, I have to. Like, it's I'm not, pressure's the wrong word, but, you know, I'm being told, go faster. So I start going faster, and I do a stop on stop on a corner. I think it was. And I just, like, my front, or my rear wheel just absolutely flew out from underneath me. Thankfully, because the Honda Grom weighs about as much as 6 pennies approximately, I was able to keep it upright completely fine, but it scared me. Like, I'm not gonna lie, it scared the shit out of me. You know, I almost fucking lost the bike. I almost flew on the ground, and it's pissing rain. So at this point, I'm getting overwhelmed, getting stressed. They're giving us practice time, so I just pulled off to the side and was like, I'm trying to keep my composure. I'm stressed out. I'm like, you know, I'm losing it, cause like I'm losing my cool. Because at that point I had been in fucking what a legend. So at that point I had been in London for 2.5. I was on my third day, knowing that I was going to be able to go home at the end of the day. You know, like, knowing that is the ultimate goal. Because by that point, I'd been in this $80 a night Airbnb, and it was literally just a guy's basement. I could hear babies crying upstairs when I was trying to sleep. Like, it was hell. It was awful. It was awful. So I'm stressed. I'm low on energy. You know, I haven't slept very well. I want to go home and see my family and get the hell out of the city, because I hate the city, especially London. London's a shitty city. Sorry to anybody who lives in London, but you live in a shitty city. All this is going on. I'm stressed out. And so I pull off to the side, try to keep my composure. And then, as much as I understand and appreciate them, that they were trying to do me a favor and be nice, the instructors coming over one by one to ask me if I was okay really didn't make me feel okay. Because then now I had all this attention on me, and I'm like, oh fuck. And I just said, like, you know, I'm freaked out by the rain. I'm freaked out by the fact that I just slid. And they were really encouraging, really nice. Like, hey, you know, you're doing good. You're gonna pass. You're fine. Like, just keep it up. You're all right. And then they were like, do you want to practice? And they're like, do you want to take your test another day? Do you want to wait and take your test after everybody? Like, they gave me all these fantastic options. They were so nice. And I really do mean that. They were so nice. And I started to break down a little, like, because I was stressed out. And the rain stopped right before we were going to test. And so they, you know, they came up to me and they're like, do you want to test? What's your plan? And I was like, yep, fuck it. Just put me in. I need to test. I need to have this off my mind. I need to go home. That was like my goal. So I, gathered myself up. I got in my spot in line, because we did it. Basically, they lined us up, and we went section by section where each person did it solo, and then the next person in line went, and then the next person in line went, and so on. I think I was fourth in line, so I was pretty, early on. And I can't remember if they went alphabetical or what. So I was fourth in line, and I gathered myself up, and thankfully, the guy right behind me had been nice to me the whole weekend. Shout out to you, Mike, if you ever watch this. You absolutely helped me keep my cool there during the test. He was really positive, really encouraging, just like, hey, you got this, you got this. And I made it through each section feeling pretty good. No fuck-ups. As each section passed, I was getting fist bumps from Mike. Antonio was in front of me. He was really sweet. We were just all, they were really encouraging me, and they were really nice. And, I was the only woman in the course at that point, because the only other woman had dropped out on the second day. So, it's a little intimidating being in sort of like a boys' club type environment. But they were all just nothing but nice, and helped encourage me, helped me feel more confident. And at the end of it, the instructor gathered everybody together. Oh no, I like that song. The instructor gathered everybody together, and he had me step forward. And he goes, Chloe, I'd like you to turn around and tell everybody you passed. Everybody that they passed. And I was like, okay. And I stopped and I kind of looked at him. I go, does that include me? And he's like, yes, it includes you. Jeez. Well, I don't know. So, I got a chuckle out of some people, and I got to tell everyone they passed. He let me do it in front of the class because he knew I was, the one with the most stress. And, I got the closest to not making it, right? And I knew that. I knew I got the closest to not passing. However, I know the reason I got close to not passing was my speed. And I blame my speed on the fact that I was riding a Honda Grom. You have to pull that throttle so hard to get it to go anywhere. 7,000 RPM just to get off the line at fucking 10. I felt so much better as soon as I got on Shimmer. Literally, Shimmer was a nicer bike to ride than a Honda Grom, because she's just so much... She's just so much more substantial. She moves quicker. She just gets off the line a little better. It's more torquey. Everything about it's just nicer. It just makes it so much easier to not be too slow. The only thing that really the Honda Grom is a bit of a cheater bike at is anything to do with low speed maneuvers and turns, specifically low speed turns, because it is the short wheelbase makes it an absolute cheater for tight turns. It's so easy to do a UE on that. But I've been getting used to Shimmer, and I've been feeling pretty good about my ability to do that on her. So, all things said and done, I think I'm a pretty decent rider after, nearly failing my test because I was going too slow. I really wish I had gotten the chance to ride the Rebel 300 for the test instead, but whatever. The Rebels are nice. Although I really don't like how low and fat their single exhaust pipe is. On a tight turn, our instructor kept hitting the exhaust on the ground, and you could see it all over the exhaust of the Rebel 300. It was just they were absolutely dented and scratched to shit because of how, this turn would borderline fucking catch a Rebel. It's just a very low exhaust. Sorry, I got distracted because there's now a fucking hair in my mouth. This is the worst. Let's see if we can do something about it. I think I got it. Yep, I got it. Let's go. Probably looked absolutely ridiculous doing that, and I'll have to watch back that footage to see just how goofy I looked. So yeah, that was my experience with the M2. If you're in Ontario and you're looking to do an M2, I can genuinely recommend Learning Curves. They were so fantastic to me. And the people, like the instructors, really helped me feel like I was going to become a good rider, you know? They helped me feel like I had the potential and I was doing it, you know? Like, they didn't make me feel like, oh, what are you doing here, you stupid bitch? Like, why are you so bad at riding? You know, why didn't you come in having hundreds of hours of dirt bike riding under your belt? Like, I had ridden a dirt bike, you know, once or twice, but not well, you know? Like, I hadn't ridden a dirt bike well. So it was a big change for me. I hadn't even driven a manual car. Well, I had, but like in a parking lot, you know. I learned a bit of manual in a parking lot. I got her into second, and that was the extent of it. Although I really would like to get a manual car, like one day relatively soon. I know that my current car, the Buick Regal, did come with a manual trim. I wonder what that car would feel like, you know, with my same engine, but all of a sudden a little more fun to shift, a little more fun to drive. I adore how how a bike feels. I love feeling control over every gear, you know. It's something else. It really is. It's something that I think is going to be a lost art. I mean, already manual cars are a lost art, right? It's going to become more and more a thing. Stuff like, you know, we're starting to see the start of those DCT transmission Hondas. Like, who knows? We might end up with automatic bikes before you know it. And I mean, for God's sake, electric bikes taking over is just, I hate electric bikes. They just remove so much of the fun. There's no gear shifting. There's no noise. It's just speedy battery-based bullshit. I hate it. But whatever, to each their own. I'm sure there's people out there who love battery, you know, electric bikes, but no to me. It's a hard no from me. I rewatched the footage at work of that Hyundai Kona. The footage makes it look less scary than it felt, obviously. That's kind of to be expected. Sort of standard that when you're watching something from a video versus when you're on the bike trying not to hit the rear of some jackass who doesn't know how to drive their fucking car, it's a little less scary seeming. You know, it was the same with the tractor incident. I shouldn't call it an incident. The tractor corner in Hayesville there, when I came around the corner into the tractor, that was also the same kind of like, woo! And it looked way less scary on video, but you know, that I don't understand that Hyundai lady stopping in the intersection. It really doesn't make any sense to me. It's just so like, it's so brain dead. So brain dead. I could not figure it out. I rewatched the footage. It was green for a while. It didn't change to green. She just didn't know what she was doing. Brain dead. Oh well. Yeah, so that's kind of it. I don't really know what else to talk about. Like, I'm not that far from home, but, well, I'm not that far from where I normally cut you guys off when I get close enough to home that I don't want anybody to see too much where I am, what town I'm in, that kind of thing. But, yeah, I don't know. I'm kind of running out of topics here. Work was boring, so there's nothing to talk about there. Yeah. I don't know. Retail in the summer is pretty dead. I'm looking to get out of retail again. Like, I'd really like to be out of retail by the time Christmas rolls around. I don't want to do another Christmas season in retail. I really don't. But if I have to, I will. If you've ever worked retail at Christmas, you know it just sucks. It saps the like relaxation of the holidays away from you. It really just makes it the most stressful time of the year, and the relaxation doesn't come until mid-January, and then like you don't get any time off. Like, it just, you know, like it not having holidays that are regularly scheduled, like that are I want to say like almost government mandated to some extent, where there's a government mandated holiday, and so most businesses, close for around a week, that kind of thing around it. It sucks so bad working somewhere that just doesn't do that, because you don't have like a week-long guaranteed vacation to look forward to. You have to pick weeks. It really does change your way of viewing an entire year. It's something I can't really explain until if you've only been in school or worked jobs that close around Christmas, it really takes away from any sense of, because don't get me wrong, I don't give a shit about really what the holiday's about or anything like that. That's not what I'm on about. That does not matter to me. What I'm on about is the fact that you don't have a week-long vacation guaranteed with almost all your friends on the same vacation. This time you can figure out, and your family, you don't have this week-long vacation that everyone else, it feels like, fucking does, It takes away so much of your looking forward to December. I used to look forward to December not because I cared about Christmas, not because I cared about, it's because I just wanted a week off. It was fantastic. But I worked snow removal for a while, and that made Christmas hell, because we went out on Christmas, and then I went from snow removal to retail, and then you just work Boxing Day and Christmas anyway. They're only closed on Christmas Day. It's whoa, I got a single day off, and an almost guaranteed working the next day, and an almost guaranteed working the night before. So, it removes so much of the fun. And I also don't really, I don't know about you guys, I have never felt the desire to actually shop on Boxing Day, which to all you non-Canadians, or I think the British do it too, that is the 26th of December, the day after Christmas, and that's where, at least here, we do it's like Black Friday deals again. It's a pretty big thing up here. So I'm always working Boxing Day in retail, it just sucks. I'd be surprised if the US hasn't adopted it by now. I feel like you guys probably just know it as Sales Day. And then always they do the Cyber Monday, which is just the Monday following Boxing Day or whatever. Or is that the Monday following Black Friday? I don't know. I really don't care. I don't keep up with it. I don't care that much about sales on that kind of shit, I'm trying to avoid impulse buying a lot more lately, and so I'm just so uninterested in sales and shit. Oh well, I don't know. I think this is just a change in the culture too these days of everything's so easy to order online and get the next day. Going out on a specific day of the year to get slightly better deals that aren't even better anymore. You don't really have the door crashers you used to. You don't have a $200 TV. That's not a thing. Also, hello, police officer. Jeez. You don't know how tempted I am to roll up behind him and start smacking on my helmet. Hang on, I'm gonna do... I don't think they got it. They did not. They didn't seem like they understood what the tapping of the helmet is. And see, here it is. Here's the tangent. I've completely lost where I just was. I don't know. You guys gonna mentally diagnose me what kind of fucking Dane Bramage I have that makes me do that? Just completely miss where I was because I see a cop. I don't know. That's just my Dane Bramage. Go ahead, diagnose me. Anyway, that's actually where I'm going to end now. So, thank you guys so much for watching. I will see y'all, I don't know, maybe tomorrow? I mean, obviously for you guys, it's whatever. It's the next video, but probably tomorrow. Alright, so, bye.